Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Lucy. Your Excellency, Governor Cheboy, who has made the presentation on behalf of the Council of Governors, together with your legal support team, my colleagues in Foreign Affairs. I'll be very brief, but first, I want to thank Governor Cheboy because his remarks, in my view, have been very impactful. You have really made me a happy man this morning. Thank you. I say so because after the presentation you can see where the journey is, and one of the issues that kept on disturbing me was that Kenya's foreign policy was foreign to Kenyans. It was alien. Hence my persistency in actually saying that we need to have a review and have broader consultation with critical players in Kenya's political landscape, economic landscape, the social landscape, and you cannot now wish away devolution and the county governments. In fact, I hope we will be able to do some very basic things when the technical team eventually presents some graphics around Kenya's maps. There should be the national map in this document, but there should also be another map that clearly shows the counties that we have in this country, so that we shall be embedding graphically a very clear position that this is Kenya, and Kenya is composed of 47 counties. To me, it may look simple, but it is a very strong message that needs to go out. We must find convergence on national interests, some of which you have alluded to. There are constitutional provisions, there is public interest, but what is the convergence in terms of national interests between the national government and the county governments? That must be properly defined so that we can move together. You have given us a very good example of why we must work together. And you gave the example of in areas of insecurity, for instance, if there's a conversation and you have doctors coming in certain hotspots, it is important, because assume that you negotiate for a package of doctors or something, then the national government is unaware. Then unfortunately, and we have had incidents, you hear that the doctors have been kidnapped. It now ceases to be a county problem, and it becomes a national problem, and it creates a lot of tension, and it can actually even devastate bilateral relations between countries. So there's every reason for us to pull together. We can also give other examples. Counties sometimes carry a bigger burden than you imagine on behalf of the nation. And I'll give you two specific examples. There's the Kakuma and there's Dadaab. Now, here's a situation where Kenya is playing its role in ensuring that matters of human rights, the refugee programs, and so forth. And we have an elaborate program called the Shirika Plan, which has received international recognition as a model of working with refugees and supporting countries that are in distress. It has received recognition. But which counties carry the largest burden? Turkana and Garissa. So in terms of how we handle our policies, then how do we look at the situation in terms of anchoring those counties that are carrying the extra challenge on behalf of Kenyans? These are issues that must be reflected as we think through our policies. The PS gave the example of Meru. It has created a problem for us because it has painted us as a country that does not observe the rule of law. Courts have made some decisions. A county government acted out of the law. It is now the national government answering questions about what is your investment policy with regard to foreign direct investment. Are the actions of the county government therefore in tandem with what our foreign investment policy is and what the law provides? If, for instance, you want to be a shareholder, do you become a shareholder in an entity through expropriation, or do you invest by buying shares in that entity? These are the fundamental questions that we must make sure that we are in tandem and there's a convergence between county governments and the national government. These areas that involve marine, the blue economy, aspects that will come up around mining and so forth, they are going to call for a lot of engagement between the national government and those county governments where these resources are vested. And therefore, we need to have a very clear understanding on how we will operate together. Taxes. How do you want the national government to help your county to be seen as being fit for purpose when it comes to investment? What kind of local taxes are you imposing? And how do they blend into attracting investment? These are fundamental issues that I think need to be fed into our foreign policy. And again, we have convergence in those areas. As you visit some other countries, maybe I'll give a more recent one that I passed through, that is Australia. You find that there's a lot of weight put on the, do we call them the provinces or the states, the regions? There's a lot of emphasis to the extent that their approach is different, that you find they give a lot of weight to the regions when it comes to investment matters and promotion. How do we balance within the framework of our constitution and the kind of structure that you see in those countries? So we have some work to do. Finally, let me just quickly say that this process of consultation is going to go slightly beyond the normal, because we have a date also with the faith-based entities and how do the faith-based institutions impact on foreign policy. That is on the table. We also have to have consultation with the judiciary. If we stand for human rights, we stand for a nation of the rule of law. What does that mean to the judicial decisions that emerge, and where do they place a country in terms of foreign standing and so forth? But that will be an issue to be tackled by the experts around the judicial area. For instance, if you have constant rulings that appear to be a violation of human rights or going to go against the human rights, at what stage will those judicial processes be seen as Kenya's policy? Because it could emerge that we are people who are anti-human rights. So again, there has to be a conversation in that space. And ultimately, we want this foreign policy to be in Parliament as a sessional paper. I keep seeing it missing in the presentation. And I think the beginning was that we must navigate our foreign policy away from the corridors of foreign affairs to the public. The sessional paper is important. Even after the launch, the sessional paper must come, because it is the sessional paper that will ultimately package Kenya's foreign policy. And then it is seen that this is Kenya's foreign policy. It is the sessional paper that will help us understand how we are going to fund our foreign policy. We cannot keep on downplaying the sessional paper. So I hope my team is listening so that we can rectify this, because that is where we are going to go. A lot of the issues that we want done will be done with the support of Parliament. As we look at our foreign policy, believe you me, there are going to be consequential amendments to the Foreign Policy Act. Parliament must be well informed to guide those amendments so that they are logical and they're in tandem and they anchor the foreign policy. We cannot leave it hanging. This is absolutely essential as we move forward. So, in conclusion, thank you, the Council of Governors. Thank you so much. This has been extremely useful, and I'm sure now we are getting closer to the point where we'll be able to say that this is a policy that belongs to the Kenyan people and not a policy that belongs to Mr. Mudavadi alone. It is absolutely essential that we talk about Kenya's foreign policy. And I agreed with you. You cannot have governors going away to visit a country and they talk at variance. we have a lot of trips where MCAs from our assemblies make trips. And they interact, and they're important people. They make statements. What does that mean to our foreign policy? We must also, by the way, we have also written to the speakers of parliament so that they can also make specific advisories on how we can strengthen parliamentary democracy. In fact, we have written to the judiciary, we have written to parliament, we conveyed communication to you, and our good people have been communicating to other people so that we make it really holistic. And I think we are getting there. Asanteni sana, God bless you. And now we can move on to the next stage. I leave it to Masila to finalize. Thank you.